Most beginners don't blow their budget on the wrong radio. They blow it by forgetting everything around the radio. You can buy a decent ham radio and still end up with a weak setup if the antenna, coax, power supply, and programming cable are afterthoughts. So in this video, we're building the full beginner VHF-UHF setup under $500, not just picking a radio and hoping the rest works. The rule's simple. Spend enough, but don't spend everything on the radio. A balanced setup will usually get you on the air better than a fancier radio connected to cheap accessories. And if this helps you avoid wasting money on the wrong gear, hit like so more new hams see it before they build their first setup. For the current best prices, I'll leave links to the gear in the description. Now let's start with the radio I'd build this setup around. The radio is the BTECH UV50X2. This is not the cheapest possible way to get into ham radio, because yes, you could start with a cheap handheld, but for a real under $500 setup, this makes more sense because it gives you mobile radio power, a normal external antenna connection, and enough budget left over for the parts that actually make the station work. The UV50X2 is a dual-band analog VHF-UHF mobile radio, so it fits the beginner use case really well. Local 2-meter and 70-centimeter repeaters, simplex contacts around town, club nets, and basic home or vehicle station. If you're trying to reach your local repeater reliably, this kind of setup is usually a better starting point than trying to do everything from a handheld sitting on your desk. The key here is that it leaves room in the budget. If you spend most of the money on a nicer Yaesu or ICOM mobile radio, you may end up cheaping out on the antenna, coax, or power supply, and that is exactly how beginners end up disappointed. The downside is that the BTECH is not as polished as the more expensive Japanese brand radios. The interface, long-term support, and overall feel are not the same class as Yaesu or ICOM. It is also an analog FM radio, so you're not getting digital voice modes, APRS, HF, or anything fancy. Also, because radios like this can cover a wide range of frequencies, you need to program it carefully and only transmit where your license allows. That is not optional. If you have money later, something like a Yaesu FTM 150R or ICOM IC 2730A is a nicer long-term upgrade. But for keeping the whole station under $500, the BTECH leaves more room for the gear that matters around it. Next, the antenna is where you should pay attention. For a simple beginner-based setup, I'd look at the Diamond X30A. It is a compact dual-band base antenna for 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and it is a much better match for this kind of setup than relying on a tiny handheld antenna or some random indoor whip. This is the part that can make the radio feel completely different. A 50-watt mobile radio on a poor antenna can still perform badly. A more modest radio connected to a proper outdoor antenna, mounted higher and in the clear, can be far more useful. The X30A is not huge, which is one reason it makes sense for beginners. It is the kind of antenna you could realistically put on a small mast, garage mount, balcony-style setup where allowed, or an attic if outdoor mounting is not possible. Outdoor and higher is still better, but even a sensible attic or elevated mounting position can be a big step up from trying to work repeaters with a stock rubber antenna indoors. The downside is that an antenna is not just a thing you buy. It is a thing you install. You need a safe mounting point, weatherproof connections, and a plan for cable routing. If this is a permanent outdoor setup, do not ignore grounding, lightning protection, or local rules. That part depends on your house and location, so I'm not counting it in the $500 gear list. If you are in an apartment or need something temporary, a mag mount antenna on a metal surface can be a compromise. But if the goal is a real beginner station, the base antenna is where I'd put the effort first. The next part is coax. Now, this is where beginners accidentally throw away performance. You do not need the most expensive feed line on day one, but you do need a known good coax with the right connectors. For this build, I'd keep the coax run as short as practical and use a decent RG8X cable with PL259 connectors from a real radio supplier. For a short run, RG8X is usually a reasonable budget choice. If you need a long run, or if you will use 70 centimeters a lot, then step up to a lower loss cable like LMR 400 style coax or similar 400 size cable. The longer the cable gets, the more the cheap stuff hurts you, especially on UHF. Also, check the connectors before you buy. The radio and the diamond antenna use UHF style connections, so do not build a setup that needs a pile of adapters just to fit together. Every unnecessary adapter is another point of loss, failure, or confusion. The downside is that better coax costs more, and thicker, low-loss coax is less flexible. But this is still not the place to save $10 by buying mystery cable with questionable connectors. Moving on, the next thing you need is clean, reliable power. If you use a mobile radio at home, you need a power supply. This is the part a lot of beginners forget. A mobile radio is not designed to plug straight into the wall. It needs a 13.8 volt classic DC power source with enough current to transmit safely. For this kind of station, I'd look for a proper radio power supply in the 25 to 30 amp range. That gives you enough headroom for this radio and also gives you room to upgrade later. On the budget side, a TekPower TP30SW2 style supply makes sense if the price is right. If you want a cleaner, more polished option, the Powerwerx SS30DV is a nicer pick, especially if you like Anderson power pole connections and a neater desk setup. The mistake is using a random laptop charger, LED strip supply, or a bargain power brick because the voltage looks close. This is not the same thing. A bad supply can create noise, voltage problems, or reliability issues that you'll blame on the radio. The downside is cost. A proper power supply can feel boring because it does not make the radio look more exciting. But if you're building a station instead of just buying a radio, it belongs in the budget. After power, there's one small accessory that can save you a surprising amount of frustration. That's the programming cable. For the UV50 Mark II, get the correct BTECH PC04 programming cable, preferably the FTDI version, instead of gambling on the cheapest random cable you can find. Can you program from the front panel? Yes. Will you enjoy entering repeater offsets, tones, names, and channels that way? Probably not. With the cable, you can set up your local repeaters, simplex channels, scan lists, and names from a computer. That matters because the beginner radio is only useful if it's actually programmed for the repeaters in your area. The downside is that cheap programming cables can create driver headaches. This is one of those accessories where buying the correct cable once is better than saving a few dollars and wasting an evening trying to figure out why the computer will not talk to the radio. Now let's talk about the optional gear, an SWR meter or a NanoVNA. This is useful, but I would not force every beginner to buy it before they get on the air. If you're using a simple pre-tuned antenna like the Diamond X30A, a short, known, good coax run, and normal connectors, you can reasonably make this the first upgrade after the core station. If you want the simplest tool, get a VHF, UHF, SWR, and power meter like the Surecom SW102UV. That lets you check forward power and SWR for an analog VHF UHF setup without turning the whole thing into a science project. If you're going to experiment with antennas, build antennas, tune mag mounts, or troubleshoot weird feedline problems, then a NanoVNA makes more sense. It can show you much more than a basic SWR meter, but it also has a learning curve. You need to calibrate it correctly and understand what you're looking at. Now, if I were putting everything into one cart, here's how I'd prioritize the money. Start with the BTECH UV50 Mark II as the radio. Add the Diamond X30A as the antenna. Use a short, known good RG8X coax cable with the correct PL259 connectors, unless your run is long enough to justify 400 size low-loss coax. Add a real 13.8 volt class power supply, either the budget TekPower style option or the nicer Powerwerx if the sale price works. Then add the BTECH PC04 programming cable. That is the balanced setup. Radio, antenna, coax, power, and programming. If current prices line up well and you choose a short coax run and a reasonably priced 25 to 30 amp class power supply, that core setup should fit under $500 before tax and shipping. The SWR meter, or NanoVNA, is the first optional add-on, not the thing I'd sacrifice the antenna or power supply to buy. And before you buy anything, here are the mistakes I'd try to avoid. Do not buy a $500 radio and then connect it to a bad antenna. That is the classic beginner mistake. Do not assume a cheap handheld and the stock antenna is the same thing as a real station. Handhelds are useful, but they are limited indoors, especially if you're far from repeaters. Do not buy random no-name coax just because it has the right-looking connectors in the picture. Bad coax and bad connectors can waste signal and create problems that are hard for a beginner to diagnose. Do not buy an overpriced starter bundle unless every piece of the bundle is actually something you would choose separately. Do not buy a NanoVNA just because it looks advanced. It is a great tool, but if you're not ready to learn calibration and antenna measurements, a simple SWR meter may be more useful. And I would be careful with older radios that are only available used, discontinued, or region dependent. A discontinued radio can be a good deal, but it should not be the foundation of a beginner setup unless the price is clearly worth it. That is the core setup that makes the most sense under $500. Not because every part is the most premium option, but because the money is going into the parts that actually help you get on the air. And for current prices and compatibility options, check the links in the description.